Welcome to Kieu Dung channel, where real-life stories, resilience, and quiet strength are shared. If you feel connected to these journeys, please like the video and subscribe to the channel to support us and stay with the stories ahead.
Today we come to the story of Sung Luyen, a single mother who is once again drowning in pain after being betrayed by love for the second time. What once gave her hope has now left deep scars, forcing her to face life with a broken heart but unbroken responsibility. Every day she carries her sorrow quietly because she knows she cannot fall, not when her child still depends on her strength to survive. Before returning to Sung Luyen's journey, we first come to Apao, a man searching for redemption. He carries guilt not his own alone, but born from the mistakes of his wife in the past, mistakes that caused suffering to Sung Luyen. Apao understands that apologies spoken too late often mean little, and so he chooses a different path. He chooses to help, not to erase the past, but to take responsibility for it. On this quiet morning, Apao stands in front of an old wooden house. Time has not been kind to it. The roof is broken, the wooden walls are cracked and weathered, weakened by years of neglect, much like the fragile lives connected to it. Yet Apao sees not just decay, but possibility. He begins clearing the space, carefully cleaning and preparing it, hoping to give the house a new purpose, a chance to become useful again. Knowing he cannot do this alone, Apao asks several neighbors from the village for help. They arrive without hesitation, without many words. Together they begin dismantling the old structure. First, they remove the roof tiles, lifting them down one by one. Then they move to the wooden planks surrounding the house, loosening each board, separating what can still be used from what must be left behind. The sound of wood being taken apart echoes softly through the village. It is not violent, not chaotic. It is slow, careful, almost respectful. This is not destruction, it is preparation. Because sometimes, before something new can stand, what is old and broken must first be taken apart. As Apao works, his hands stay busy, but his thoughts are heavy. He knows this effort will not undo Sung Luyen's pain, it will not heal her broken trust, or erase the loneliness she has endured. But perhaps through quiet action and honest labor, it can become a silent apology, one spoken not with promises, but with responsibility. And somewhere nearby, Sung Luyen continues her difficult journey, unaware that small acts of repentance and care are unfolding in her world. Like fragile threads of hope, barely visible at first, they move slowly, patiently toward her life, reminding us that even after betrayal and loss, change can begin in the quietest ways. As Apao continues rebuilding his own house, lifting wooden beams and adjusting old planks, his body is present in the work, but his mind drifts elsewhere. With every movement, memories from the previous day return clearly. He remembers the moment he found Sung Luyen, remembers the place where she and her child were living, and the quiet shock he felt when he saw how fragile their shelter truly was. It was not a home, it was only a temporary escape from the rain, the sun, and the cold. A place too simple, too exposed, and far too harsh for a mother and a small child. That image stays with him, the torn leaves, the uneven ground, the emptiness of a space that offered no real protection. Apao knows that much of the suffering Sung Luyen has endured was caused by the mistakes of his wife in the past. Though those actions were not his own, the weight of responsibility still rests heavily on his heart. He understands that regret alone changes nothing. If he wants to make amends, he must act. As these thoughts settle in his mind, Apao stops his work.
He looks around his house, unfinished and imperfect, and realizes that what he is rebuilding can wait. There is something more urgent that needs to be done. Without hesitation, he makes a quiet decision, one he does not announce to anyone. He walks inside and takes a thin mattress, old but still usable. He lifts it onto his shoulder, feeling its weight press against his back. With his free hand, he grabs a small tarp, folded neatly but worn at the edges. These are simple items, nothing valuable by most standards, yet to someone who has almost nothing, they mean comfort, safety, and dignity. Apao begins the walk toward Sung Luyen's shelter. The path is familiar now, but today it feels longer. Each step is filled with unspoken emotion, regret, responsibility, and a quiet determination to do what is right. He does not know how Sung Luyen will feel about his presence. He does not know if his help will be welcomed, but he knows he must try. When he arrives, the condition of the shelter confirms everything he remembered. The leaf hut has withered further. The leaves that once formed its roof are dry, cracked, and falling apart. Gaps allow sunlight to burn through during the day and rain to pour in at night. It is no longer capable of protecting anyone from the elements. It stands as a symbol of survival under extreme hardship, barely holding together. Apao sets down the mattress and tarp and begins to work. He starts by cleaning the shelter, gently removing the dried, broken leaves that no longer serve any purpose. He clears the space slowly, carefully, as if afraid that even a careless movement might cause the entire structure to collapse. He does not rush. He respects the place for what it represents, the strength of a woman who has endured more than she should have had to. Once the space is cleared, he carefully places the mattress inside the shelter, positioning it where Sung Luyen and her child sleep. It is thin, but it offers softness against the hard ground. It offers warmth during the cold nights. More than anything, it offers a small sense of comfort, something they have been missing for far too long. Next, Apao takes the tarp and begins to stretch it over the frame of the hut. He adjusts it again and again, pulling it tighter, securing it as best he can. He tests its strength, making sure it can block the rain and provide shade from the sun. With each careful movement, the shelter slowly transforms. It is still simple, still humble, but it is no longer completely exposed. There are no words spoken during this process. Apao works in silence. His actions carry emotions that words cannot express. He knows that this small shelter will not change Sung Luyen's life overnight. It will not heal the betrayal she has suffered. It will not erase the pain of being abandoned or the fear of an uncertain future. But for tonight, it will protect her and her child. For tonight, it will give them a place that feels slightly safer. When everything is finished, Apao steps back and looks at the shelter one last time. He checks the tarp, the mattress, and the cleared space, making sure nothing has been overlooked. There is a quiet satisfaction in knowing he has done what he could with what he had. He does not wait. He does not leave a note. He does not seek gratitude or recognition. Apao quietly turns and walks away. As he makes his way back to his own house, the burden in his heart feels a little lighter, though the regret remains. He understands that this is only a small step toward making things right. It does not balance the past. It does not erase the damage done, but it is a beginning, a humble effort to take responsibility where responsibility is due. Meanwhile, Sung Luyen continues her life, unaware of what has been done. She still carries her pain, her exhaustion, and her quiet determination to survive for her child. But when night falls and she returns to her shelter, she will find something different. She will find protection. She will find care. She will find, in a small and unexpected way, proof that compassion still exists. And in a world shaped by loss, betrayal, and endurance, such small acts of kindness often carry the greatest power, slowly, quietly, changing lives one gentle step at a time. At this moment, Sung Luyen walks alone, slowly making her way up the high mountain. The path is narrow and dangerous, scattered with sharp rocks and steep edges that demand every step be careful. One slip could send her falling, yet she continues forward as if the pain in her heart is heavier than the danger beneath her feet. The wind brushes against her face, cold and unforgiving, mirroring the loneliness she carries inside. After a long climb, she reaches a waterfall hidden deep within the mountains. The water crashes down endlessly, its sound filling the empty space around her. Sung Luyen sits down beside it, exhausted, letting the noise drown out the world for a moment. Here, surrounded by stone and water, her memories begin to surface without warning. She remembers James. She remembers the day he placed a ring in her hand, looking into her eyes as if the future was certain. He promised to love her, to care for her, and to protect both her and her child. In that moment, she believed him. She believed that after so much suffering, life was finally offering her a safe place to rest. But now, those promises feel distant, like a dream that fades the moment you wake. Everything he said, every vow he made, now belongs only to the past. Sung Luyen has tried to reach him. She has searched for answers, for clarity, for even a single explanation. But James is nowhere to be found. There is no way to contact him, no place to ask why he disappeared, no chance to hear the truth from his own mouth. The silence he left behind hurts more than any words ever could. Sitting beside the waterfall, Sung Luyen finally allows herself to cry. Her tears mix with the mist in the air, unnoticed by anyone but the mountains around her. She whispers her pain to the land, to the flowing water, to the silent sky above, as if hoping the mountains might understand what people could not. In this vast and empty space, she feels both incredibly small and painfully alone. For a moment, dark thoughts cross her mind. She wonders what it would be like to simply disappear, to let herself be carried away along with all the pain of the past, to rest, to stop fighting. The thought lingers, heavy and dangerous, tempting her with the promise of silence. But then, another image rises in her heart. Her daughter. She sees her child's face, her innocent eyes, her small hands reaching out in trust. Sung Luyen knows that giving up would not end the pain, it would only pass it on. To leave would be to betray the very life that gives her strength to keep going. And in that realization, something inside her begins to shift. She wipes her tears and takes a deep breath. The pain is still there, but so is her responsibility, so is her love. For her daughter's future, Sung Luyen chooses to stand again. Amid the roar of the waterfall and the silence of the mountains, a fragile but powerful hope begins to glow within her heart. It is quiet, it is weak, but it is enough to keep her moving forward. After leaving the waterfall behind, Sung Luyen continues her journey upward, heading toward a small garden hidden on the mountainside. This land is poor and uneven, carved out between rocks and roots, but it is one of the few places where she can still find food. Here, sweet potatoes grow quietly beneath the soil, sustaining her and her child through difficult days. She kneels down and begins to work. With simple tools and bare hands hardened by time, she loosens the earth little by little. Each movement requires effort, The soil is compact, mixed with stones, and stubbornly resists being turned over. Still, Sung Luyen does not complain. She digs patiently, knowing that every root she finds means another meal, another day survived. As she pushes deeper into the ground, her hands grow dirty, her breath grows heavier, and sweat forms on her brow. The sun slowly rises higher, warming her back, while insects buzz softly around her. This work is tiring, repetitive, and often painful, but it is also familiar. It is the rhythm of survival she has learned to accept. At last, she feels something firm beneath the soil. Carefully, she clears the dirt away, revealing a sweet potato, rough and imperfect, yet precious. She lifts it gently, brushing off the earth as if handling something fragile. One by one, she continues digging, sometimes finding nothing, sometimes finding a small root that still brings quiet relief. There is no joy in abundance here, only gratitude for enough. As she works, her thoughts remain calm. The pain in her heart has not disappeared, but the act of working grounds her in the present. Each movement reminds her why she must continue, not for comfort, not for dreams long lost, but for the simple promise of another meal for her child. When Sung Luyen finally returns to her shelter, the bamboo basket resting heavily against her back, she slows her steps in confusion. Something feels different. From a distance, the leaf hut no longer looks the same. As she moves closer, her eyes widen slightly. The fragile roof of dried leaves has been covered with a tarp, stretched carefully over the frame, shielding the shelter from sun and rain. She stops for a moment, standing still, unsure of what she is seeing. Sung Luyen steps closer, her heart beating faster. She looks around cautiously, scanning the quiet surroundings, listening for footsteps, for voices, for any sign that someone might still be nearby. The forest remains silent. Only the wind and distant sounds of nature answer her. Slowly, she approaches the shelter and begins to examine it more carefully. Inside, she notices the changes. The ground is cleaner. The sleeping area feels different. A fen mattress has been placed where she and her child rest at night. It is simple, but it is real. It is something she did not have before. Sung Luyen touches it gently, almost afraid that it might disappear if she looks away. Confusion turns into quiet disbelief. No one knows where she lives. No one ever comes here. No one except Apao. The realization settles slowly in her mind. She lowers herself beside the shelter, her thoughts racing, then softening. There is no note, no message, no explanation, only the evidence of care left behind. Sung Luyen understands then, without needing confirmation, it must have been him, the man who carries regret in silence, the man who chose to help without asking for forgiveness. After carefully checking that everything around the shelter is in order, Sung Luyen sets the bamboo basket down and gently pours the sweet potatoes into the small stream nearby. The clear water flows steadily over the stones, cool and quiet. She kneels beside it and begins washing the potatoes one by one, rubbing away the dirt that still clings to their rough skins. The water carries the soil downstream, leaving the sweet potatoes clean and ready. She lets them rest in the stream for a moment, allowing them to soak, as if giving them time to breathe after being pulled from the earth. Once the potatoes are ready, Sung Luyen turns her attention to preparing a fire. She takes out a torch and carefully lights it, shielding the flame from the wind with her hands. Slowly, she feeds dry wood and small branches into the fire, watching as the flames begin to grow. The crackling sound brings a sense of warmth to the quiet space, both physical and emotional. When the fire is strong enough, she places the pot above it, steadying it with practiced movements learned through many difficult days. She returns to the stream one last time, rinses the sweet potatoes again, and places them gently into the pot. As the water begins to heat, small bubbles slowly rise to the surface. Sung Luyen sits nearby, watching the steam lift into the air, carrying with it the scent of something simple but comforting. This will not be a feast, but it will be enough. While waiting for the sweet potatoes to cook, hunger quietly reminds her of itself. She reaches into her belongings and takes out a small cake, saved for moments like this. She eats slowly, carefully, making it last, letting each bite settle her stomach. As she eats, her thoughts drift. She remembers the moment when Apao stepped in to help her, when strangers appeared and fear filled her heart. She remembers how he stood there, calm and steady, placing himself between her and danger without hesitation. He did not ask questions, he did not demand explanations, he simply acted, protecting her and her child when she felt most vulnerable. That memory warms her more than the fire beside her. Sung Luyen lowers her eyes and quietly thanks him in her heart. She knows that kindness like that is rare, especially for someone like her, someone who has been betrayed and left behind. Apao never asked for recognition, never spoke of what he had done, yet his actions continue to surround her, through the shelter, through the mattress, through this moment of safety she now feels. As the water in the pot begins to boil more strongly, Sung Luyen stirs it gently and waits. The waiting is familiar. She has waited all her life, for love, for answers, for stability. But now, as she sits by the fire, she feels a small sense of peace. The past has not disappeared, and the future is still uncertain, but this moment belongs to her. When the sweet potatoes are finally ready, she removes the pot from the fire and sets it aside to cool. The simple meal will soon be shared with her child, another quiet victory in a long struggle. As the flames slowly die down and the evening air grows cooler, Sung Luyen sits in silence, holding gratitude in her heart, for the food, for the shelter, and for the unexpected kindness of a man who chose to be good when it mattered most. After waiting for a while, the sweet potatoes are finally cooked. Sung Luyen carefully lifts them out of the pot, letting the steam rise gently into the cool night air. She blows softly on her hands, then breaks one open. The warmth spreads through her fingers, simple and comforting. She eats slowly, savoring each bite, not because it is delicious, but because it represents survival. Another day endured, another night passed. As she eats, her thoughts grow quiet. Life has taught her that happiness does not always come in grand moments. Sometimes it comes as a warm meal after a long day, a safe place to rest, or kindness given without expectation. She has learned that strength is not the absence of pain, but the choice to keep going despite it. Looking into the fading fire, Sung Luyen understands that life will continue to test her. There will be more hardships, more uncertainty ahead. But just as these sweet potatoes grew in harsh soil, hidden beneath the ground, resilience can grow in the darkest places. And with that realization, she eats in silence, holding on to a simple truth. No matter how difficult the journey, as long as she does not give up, tomorrow can still begin. After finishing her meal, Sung Luyen slowly reaches into her bag and takes out a small amount of money. She looks at it for a long moment, her fingers holding it tightly, as if feeling the weight of its meaning rather than its value. This is the money Apao gave her, not as charity, but as compensation for the losses and pain his wife caused in the past. He never explained much, never tried to justify it. He simply gave it to her and walked away. Now, sitting in the quiet of the night, Sung Luyen understands what this money represents. It is not enough to change her life, but it is enough to begin again. She knows she cannot stay in this leaf shelter forever. No matter how much it has improved, it is not a place where a child should grow up. Rain, storms, and time will eventually take it away. She closes her hand around the money and takes a deep breath. Somewhere beyond these mountains, there must be a safer place, even if only temporary. A room she can rent, a small space where her daughter can sleep without fear. The path ahead is still uncertain, but for the first time, it feels possible. Holding the money close, Sung Luyen looks into the darkness and quietly prepares herself for the next step of her journey. She slowly turns back toward the small stream, her steps quiet against the damp ground as the night deepens around her. The water continues to flow gently, untouched by human sorrow, reflecting the pale light of the moon as it slips between the trees. Sung Luyen kneels beside the stream once more, lowering the remaining sweet potatoes into the cool water. One by one, she washes them carefully, rubbing away the last traces of soil that cling to their rough skins. The cold water numbs her fingers, but she does not pull away. Instead, she welcomes the sensation, letting it steady her thoughts. Each sweet potato she cleans represents another meal, another morning she will be able to feed her child. There is comfort in this simple work, in knowing that preparation today will ease the struggle of tomorrow. As she works, the soft sounds of the stream surround her, blending with the distant night insects. For a moment, the weight in her chest feels lighter. She thinks about how survival is built from small, repeated actions, washing food, saving what little remains, planning ahead even when the future is uncertain. These quiet moments, though unseen, are what keep her moving forward. After finishing everything she needed to prepare, Sung Luyen slowly stood up and began walking toward the small house she had once rented long ago. It was a place filled with memories, a place where she and her daughter had tried to build a fragile sense of stability amid hardship. Her steps were hesitant, as if each one carried both hope and fear. Hope that the house might be vacant, fear that reality would once again deny her a place to belong. As she walked, the path felt strangely familiar, every stone and bend in the road awakening images from the past. When she finally reached the house, the scenery remained almost unchanged. The wooden walls were weathered, the roof slightly slanted, and the small yard still lay quietly under the open sky, just as it had years ago. For a brief moment, she allowed herself to imagine returning, cooking simple meals and watching her daughter sleep peacefully inside those walls once more. Sung Luyen stood there, looking around slowly, taking in every detail. The air felt heavy with memories. She approached the current occupants and politely asked whether the house was available for rent. Their answer came gently but firmly. The contract still had 1 year left before they would move elsewhere. Hearing this, her heart sank. She nodded in understanding, thanked them, and stepped back outside. There was no anger, no bitterness, only quiet acceptance. She had learned that life often closes doors without warning, and all one can do is bow to reality and keep walking forward. Remaining in the yard for a while, Sung Luyen let her eyes wander across the familiar surroundings. Memories flooded her mind uncontrollably. She remembered the days when she and her daughter first moved in, how they had worked tirelessly to clean the place, repair broken corners, and slowly turn it into a warm little home. Every nail hammered into the wall, every meal cooked on a small stove had been an act of hope. That house was not just shelter, it was proof that even in poverty, dignity and love could still exist. She remembered her daughter's laughter echoing in the small room, the way they held each other during cold nights, believing that tomorrow would be better. But those memories were also followed by pain. She remembered the night everything was taken away, when someone burned down the home they had struggled so hard to build. The flames did not only consume wood and belongings, they burned away safety, trust, and the fragile future she had imagined for her child. From that moment on, their lives became a constant journey of survival. They slept in drainage pipes, hid in abandoned corners, and later sought refuge in the mountains, moving from place to place with no certainty of tomorrow. Each day became a test of endurance, each night a battle against fear and despair. Standing there now, Sung Luyen felt the weight of those years pressed down on her chest. Yet within that weight, there was also resilience. She realized that despite everything, she was still standing. She had not given up. She had protected her daughter as best she could, even when the world seemed determined to break them. Life had stripped her of comfort, but it had not taken away her will to survive. Slowly, she took a deep breath, letting the memories settle, and then turned away from the house. She knew she could not stay there, but she also knew that her journey was not over. As she walked away, Sung Luyen reflected on the value of life. She understood that true wealth was not found in houses or possessions, but in the strength to endure, the courage to continue, and the love that drives a mother to keep going for her child. Life had taught her harsh lessons, but it had also shown her that even in the darkest moments, hope can quietly survive. Each step forward, no matter how small, was an act of resistance against despair. And perhaps this is the lesson her story leaves behind. No matter how many times life takes everything away, as long as the heart still chooses to stand up and walk forward, the future remains possible. If you have felt lost, broken, or alone, remember Sung Luyen's journey, and remember that survival itself is a powerful form of courage. If you found meaning in this story, please take a moment to like the video and subscribe to the Kieu channel. Your support helps keep these stories alive and allows us to continue sharing real-life journeys of resilience, hope, and humanity. Thank you for listening, and thank you for walking alongside Sung Luyen on this path.